Hello, and welcome to the Guilbault Girls Show, where you will have the opportunity to hear from mothers, fathers, siblings, and individuals themselves about their journey of living with a disability. I know, it's called Guilbault Girls, but we have a bonus for you as we get the Guilbault boys to interview some of the dads and siblings and get their perspectives too. We'll also have special guests from time to time to share the many resources that are available to those living with a disability and their families. So get ready to laugh, smile, cry, maybe even get a little angry when you hear some of these stories of their day-to-day struggles. But let's not forget their many triumphs. As they say, it takes a village. And if it weren't for our village, we wouldn't be where we are today. So join us. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Guilbault Girls Show. I'm your host, Karen Guilbault, which I just started saying that because I always said Guilbault Girls and never said my name, like ever. So people are probably like, well, who the heck is she? I don't even know her name.
That's really funny.
Isn't it? So we have today Katelyn Baldwin from the Kennedy Krieger's Adaptive Sports Program out of Baltimore City, Maryland. So welcome.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to share a little bit about Kennedy Krieger and the program. So at Kennedy Krieger Institute, they believe that individuals living with disabilities should have every opportunity to pursue their dreams. Participating in sports and recreational programs gives both children and adults the opportunity to set goals and achieve increased independence. Sports, both competitive and recreational, teach life skills, promote confidence, and develop leadership. Friendships are built, accomplishments are recognized, and people are supported to achieve their fullest potential. Whatever your age, ability level, experience, or schedule, the adaptive sports program at Kennedy Krieger has something for you. From the thrill of downhill skiing to a serene day of fishing or sailing, they strive to offer opportunities for people with disabilities to experience outdoor recreation in exciting ways. All activities in the adaptive and rehabilitative sports program are supervised by experienced staff members, including recreational and physical therapists, and take into account individual needs and abilities. The program is open to current and former students and patients, as well as individuals living in the community who are interested in trying out a new activity or resuming a sport or activity that they previously enjoyed. So it's exciting stuff. It really is. I love following all the posts on Facebook and seeing all the pictures and being in the group. I think it's awesome. So first off, thank you for being able to come on today and share.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So as Katie and I were discussing, so there's two parts of the program there under Kennedy Krieger. You have your adult section, and then you have the program for the more pediatric kids. So as we go through, we're going to touch a little bit on pediatrics, but she is more so of the adults. So we're just going to kind of go from there and share what we know and what we have. Can you tell us about the different sports that are available for the children and the age ranges for that versus the adults?
Yeah. So at Kennedy Krieger Institute, our primarily a pediatric program is the Bennett Blazers, and that is ran by Jerry and Gwenna Herman. They start at a young age, as young as 2 years old. They have what they call as their motor development program. So this is kind of to get the children introduced to sports techniques like hitting, throwing, kicking, swimming. So they kind of go through a motor development program to get them ready for sports. Mm-hmm. Then they have their competitive sports, which start around the age of 5. And that includes wheelchair basketball, track and field, swimming, tennis, baseball, softball, sled hockey, you name it. They have that, and that runs from ages 5 through 18. But the motor development program, that just runs year round. So they're always having kids kind of rotate in and out and going through all that program. As for the adults, we have a lot going on as well. So our biggest thing is we partner with, and let me back up for a second. Well, I'm going to talk about our adult program. I'm going to refer to it as Team Kennedy Krieger. And when I refer to the pediatric program, I'll refer to it as Bennett Blazers.
Bennett Blazers. Okay. And just on a side note, the Bennett Blazers used to be our rivals because Faith used to play sled hockey for the Delaware Sled Snipers for 3 years. And then we also joined in together when we went into tournaments, and we had several of the different teams together compete, which was awesome. And we have another family that's actually like huge in the Bennett Blazers. So I'm hoping to have Jerry come on too at some point and be
Yeah.
a guest, and the Peffleys are coming on too. So go
That's
ahead.
great. Yeah. So background on Team Kennedy Krieger. So we started as a charity team in 2011 in the Baltimore Running Festival. We joined as a charity team, got all of our staff and friends and stuff, and we started fundraising. This was our primary fundraiser. From that, we kind of grew into our first sport was hand cycling. So from our first 2 years of fundraising through the Baltimore Running Festival, we were able to raise enough funds to purchase hand cycles to then loan out to our patients to use for competitive hand cycling.
That's awesome.
From there, we grew into wheelchair lacrosse. So for our competitive sports, it's mainly hand cycling and wheelchair lacrosse.
Okay.
Our wheelchair lacrosse team, they just went to Colorado this summer to defend their national title. Unfortunately, came up short, but hey, that's good because it shows that the sport is growing and there's more competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So as far as our recreational opportunities, we partner with other organizations in the area to offer those programs, such as kayaking, mountain biking, snow skiing. We've done bowling, fishing, sailing, all those types of recreational activities. So our hand cycling programs runs on a seasonal basis. It runs from June through October.
Mhm.
Their biggest commitment is participating in the Baltimore Running Festival full marathon. And then our wheelchair lacrosse competitive team, they run from May through September, early October-ish.
Okay.
And that is for ages, I think if the 18 and older, or it might be 16 now. They might have lowered it to 16 for wheelchair lacrosse. And then for hand cycling, I think it's also about 16 because you have to be able to run the marathon.
Okay.
Or participate in the marathon.
And where do you guys practice and stuff like that?
Yeah, so our hand cycling team, I actually got this started a couple of years ago. I was very fortunate to find a group of bikers or volunteer bikers, what we call them as escorts, local people in the area that ride regularly, and they volunteer to ride with them on a weekly basis. And so we start typically at Lake Montebello, and that runs for like the first 2 weeks of training season. And then from there, we transfer over to the BWI trail, and we do like a weekly group ride where our volunteer escorts volunteer each week or host or what we say is lead the ride for that week.
Okay.
So those two, and then wheelchair lacrosse. They practice in, what is it called? There's an outdoor rink in Millersville, Maryland.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the facility, but they practice there from May through September.
And I'll definitely have to get with you too, because I honestly, downstairs in the basement, my husband and my son were big lacrosse people, and my son actually got recruited out to Grand Canyon University to play. And we have like so much equipment that we would love to donate to you guys, because it's literally sitting there and we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So I will definitely have to get with you after. And I know at the end, that's one of my questions as to, well, actually, we can even jump into that. Like, what kind of items do you guys look for? Can people donate stuff, and where do they go to donate anything? And how do you get your money to even get well, obviously fundraising, but.
Yeah. So we do, like I said, our majority of our funding comes through our fundraising through the Baltimore Running Festival. Our lacrosse team was very fortunate and received the Bill Belichick grant, well, about 3 years ago, right before the pandemic started. And so we actually didn't get a chance to use it until this year. So they were able to use some of that funding through that grant to purchase some equipment that they needed. And also for some of the newer athletes that actually came from Bennett, which is great. So we have some Bennett graduates that are now on our wheelchair lacrosse team. And then we have also gotten donations from other lacrosse organizations, or such as college teams. I think we had a college team donate some used helmets and things a couple years ago. And then we've had we've partnered with other programs or companies actually in the Maryland area that sell or make lacrosse equipment. So that's kind of how we do that.
Okay.
For the hand cycling, So, I mean, all of this is very expensive. It adds up, but the hand cycling, we purchased all of our hand cycles from the Baltimore Running Festival fundraiser. And then we use obviously funds that we raise every year to maintain them, which is also really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, because I
yes,
remember even with the sled hockey, like all that stuff was expensive, and we were always looking for donations and trying to do fundraisers. And so yeah, and bikes are a lot more expensive.
yeah,
I would imagine, especially
which
for
is
their
why,
upkeep.
we felt that was really important to have. So for the hand cycling, those bikes that we have, we loan them out, and they get to have them from June or early May through October. And they take them home. They kind of make them their own. We do reimburse for maintenance and things like that, which to help with that, because again, it can be very expensive. But you know, we want them to be able to get the experience before they go and commit to getting their own. So that's a big thing. We always have patients that are like, I'm interested, I'm going to go get my own hand cycle or whatever piece of equipment. But for this example, I'm going to talk about hand cycling. And we're like, you know, they're really expensive. We would rather you not like just go out and get one or get a grant and get one and then end up hating it and never using it. So we're like, here's a piece of equipment that we have. Take it. You're going to have it for like 6 months. You know, treat it like your own. Make sure you love it before you then go and apply for a grant to get your own. You know, because I've seen that happen so many times where patients have gotten a piece of equipment or specifically a hand cycle, and they've tried it out and then it just sits in their basement or something, you know, and it's really sad. And so we just want to make sure you really enjoy what it is that you want to pursue before you go ahead and do that. And we also help with the grant process. So we write recommendations. We'll also, I always try to provide a running list of opportunities or grant opportunities that are going on and that kind of thing.
That's awesome. And what about, well, how many people would you say you have? Like,
so it's been obviously hard the last few years, but I would say we have, you know, I would probably around 50 participants that are pretty regular. That would include our competitive hand cycling and lacrosse team that, you know, are always, you know, they're committed. So we have them. And then we have another whole group that come to a lot of the recreational activities or events. So I'd say about 50 of them are pretty regular. And then we have probably a miscellaneous amount of others that, you know, might come once, might come twice.
Right. Check it out and see. Yeah, absolutely. And do you, are you guys still currently seeking volunteers? Are you always seeking volunteers? And if somebody wants to volunteer, like where would they go to let you know about that too?
Yeah. So we are always seeking volunteers, especially for a lot of our recreational programs, because they run on the weekends and kind of like a one day thing. It's not a commitment necessarily.
Right.
So depending on what the activity is, basically you would just reach out to myself if you were interested. I do use the Facebook page or the Facebook group that we have to kind of advertise or promote our volunteers to sign up for things or what we need. There's no like commitment or they don't have to like be able to do something specific necessarily. It's more so just, you know, extra set of hands is always nice.
Right. And then what I can do too is I'll put maybe I can put the Facebook link, and then I can put your email address so people can reach out to you as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And so when you guys do your lacrosse, is there a lot of travel? Like I know with sled hockey, we traveled like everywhere. Do you have to travel with that?
Yeah. So with lacrosse, the one big travel that they have is when they travel to compete for nationals. This past year it was in Colorado. Last year it was in LA. So it kind of changes every year. So they use funding through the running festival, as well as they use this past year their grant to help fund to get them there, which is really nice because tickets were so expensive this year. It was unreal. So we were very, very fortunate to still have that Bill Belichick grant to help get them there. They do sometimes do smaller competitions locally. So there is a wheelchair lacrosse team in Virginia,
Okay.
through Sportable. And so we were able to travel to compete with them. So it wasn't much of a travel, but a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we were able to obviously help with that and like pay for a rink and stuff. For hand cycling, what we do is, so once they have successfully competed in the Baltimore Marathon, we then the following spring offer the opportunity to travel to another marathon. Usually we do something like on the East Coast, but we have gone as far as LA.
Wow.
And so we've helped cover their registration fee and some of their travel fees, which would be more so lodging, and then if like airfare is required.
Now, what kind of do you have people? Is it mainly people more like with physical disabilities only, or is it more like Special Olympics, Paralympics? Do you know what is your
So we never say no.
right?
It always depends on the activity or event. So for
Mhm.
instance, wheelchair lacrosse, they need to be able to, one, push a wheelchair, and two, have a lacrosse stick in their hand. So like that's the primary
Oh, wow.
requirement there. As long as you're able to do that, we'll work with you. So, we've had varying disabilities, intellectual, physical, that have participated in some of our events, and like a lot of our recreational activities, we get some of the intellectual and physical, which is great.
Mhm.
But like I said, it really just depends on the exact activity or event that's going on.
Right.
But like I said, show up, try it. If it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't.
Exactly. And I know for with our sled hockey, um it was awesome because I had talked about the Pefleys. So Andrew has spina bifida, and he has three siblings. Well, they all got to play on the sled hockey team. So you were allowed to have so many non-disabled,
Yep.
if you will, as they call it. I know everybody calls it different. People on the team. So it was actually so cool that
Yeah.
he got to play with his siblings, and they were
Yeah.
awesome.
So funny that you say that. I'm glad you brought that up also. Our wheelchair lacrosse does allow what we call able-bodied players. They allow, I believe it's two at a time on the court or
Okay.
on the field at a time, but I think they can have three on the team. And we actually have one of our KKI staff members is one of their team players who is able-bodied. So yeah,
That's
so
pretty
so
cool.
it depends on the sport,
Yeah.
or activity, what they allow. But yeah, wheelchair lacrosse does allow able bodies.
And then what about skiing? Where do you guys go and do the skiing
Yeah.
and stuff? Because that
So
is, I would love to have, I don't know if Faith would be brave enough to do it, but I would love to see her go do that. I've
yeah,
heard it's
so
awesome.
in the past, it's a continuing partnership that we've had with the Adaptive Sports Center in Colorado. And we help fund to get them out there. And so what we usually do is we get a small group together as well as a few staff members, and they all fly out together and stay a week at the Adaptive Sports Center. And they do a whole week of skiing. Crazy, because I don't think I could do it.
Wow.
But yeah, they do that. And the Adaptive Sports Center offers like all the instructors and things like that. So they're very experienced and things like that. But we kind of help with the traveling, housing kind of stuff, and kind of just friendships. They all get to stay together and share experiences. We actually had a patient a few years ago that traveled out there, and she had the hardest time learning to transfer from specifically like her wheelchair to her bed. And she was working on it in physical therapy forever. She got out there and was there for a week, and another patient took the time to teach her and kind of give her some tips and tricks.
Yeah.
And by the end of the week, she was able to do it on her own. So like things like that, like things
Yeah.
that you don't expect, the unexpected outcome and things like that. So that's really cool that we have that ability to do that. And then they also do like a summer program. So we kind of alternate between summer and winter. And then summer, they do like mountain biking, kayaking, rope climbing, that kind of stuff. And we kind of do the same thing. We send a little group of patients out and a couple of staff, and they stay a week there and do all of that. And it's all ran by the Adaptive Sports Center. And then it's, fortunately, but unfortunately, it's really expensive. So it's been really hard to sustain or keep up doing that. So we've kind of pushed it back on, doing it every other year now,
Right.
versus every year. And so we've looked into some local ski opportunities for snow skiing. Last year we went to Whitetail, and we took a group out there in February and did a whole day of skiing and had lunch and stuff like that. Again, have staff come, we all meet together, we eat together, we all ski together,
How fun.
Yeah, so that's how we do that. And we're looking to do that a couple times this year because everybody really liked it. This is a little bit more sustainable. It's local. We also open up that door of opportunity for them to now feel comfortable to go on their own.
Yeah.
With their family or something. So, now they're not, they tried it once with us and now they're like, okay, now I can go back with my family. This is great.
Right.
And it's local. So that was also something that was really, important.
Yeah. And then also too, I mean, if it's a day trip and then they might be like, oh, this is really cool. Maybe I really want to go to the week-long one.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. There you go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
My son is actually stationed out in Colorado in the Army.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I would love to go out there.
I know. One day I'm going to get out there. I will. So let's kind of move into the Life Through Motion Wellness Center. So can you share a little bit more about that, what it entails, what it offers? For instance, like what types of exercise classes do they offer? Can anyone with a disability sign up? Do you have staff on hand to assist them and with their, to make sure their form is correct or, to give them their weights or do whatever? Like, I'm like so excited, like about this.
Yeah. So basically, our wellness center is ran under our International Center for Spinal Cord Injury at Kennedy Krieger Institute. We kind of started as kind of like a way to carry over their therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So our Life Through Motion Wellness Center offers that we have like the functional electrical stimulation bikes. We have the other specialized equipment. We have like hand bike, elliptical things, free weights, all the very simple gym stuff. But we also have the like FES bikes and things like that as well. So we kind of just opened the doors to like another way for them to continue on their therapy. So like basically what was happening is they go through X amount of weeks or months of therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, okay, here is your home program. Now go home and work on this, right? But they're like, where do I go? What do I do? Like nobody's going to know how to help. Like they don't even know where to start. So
right. It gets overwhelming.
Right. So we have the wellness center so we have our therapists that oversee, so they'll provide like home programs basically. And a therapist, you have to be cleared by like a therapist and a physician to attend. And so we have all of our basic equipment as well as our like FES bikes and that kind of stuff. And we have wellness center staff that, yes, are there to assist you. So we have a couple options. So you have the option to like an independent option, or you have a more dependent option. So you can come independently on your own or with a caregiver, and they can be there to assist you. Yeah. If you do need our help, then we offer like another, I guess you can call it a membership. And that would be just a little bit extra. And again, we run it on a very low cost, something affordable. We also offer group fitness and personal training. So this would just like complement it. Now, this is where our personal training staff, they work with the therapist. Again, they provide some type of home program. They meet then with the personal trainer and kind of go over what their goals are. And then again, how to carry over what they have gained in therapy and continue to progress it through personal training. And again, we offer that at a low cost. And then we also offer what we call is the Hope Fund. Well, or I guess you can call it like a scholarship kind of thing. So through Team Kennedy Krieger, each year, we take a little bit of money and put it aside towards the wellness center for patients who are having trouble to afford this. Because again, right, things are tough, things are hard. And even though we offer a low cost, some people can't do, and we get it, but we know how important it is. And so we offer like a scholarship type of thing. They apply and we give them some money to then go towards the wellness center or personal training.
Is there a way with that nonprofit for like to set up like an account? I know it's a lot of work, but I know that when Faith had done suit therapy in Michigan, they were set up to where they had a fund so we could actually fundraise and people could actually donate and put in to them under her name that would cover that. I didn't know if
that is very interesting. I don't think we've done that like specifically, no, for a patient. Mm-hmm. I know we've just done the Hope Fund in general, and it's available for anyone who needs it. Mm-hmm. We have not done that though specific patients or anything. That's really interesting though.
Yeah. And it was nice because then people could, donate and it would still be a tax write-off for them.
Right.
They were, and it went specifically. Yeah. So then my other question too. So, and that's why I always wondered, like, because I know a lot of it, is it just for spinal cord injuries? Because I find like Faith goes to the STP program, which what does that stand for? Because I already forgot. Do you know?
Specialized Transitional Program.
Thank you. And so she went there for a whole month the year before her surgery. And then she had surgery in 2018. They rotated both her tibias, her femurs, put plates and screws in. They did 2 separate different procedures on her feet. They had literally like tent stakes coming out of them. She was in Johns Hopkins for 5 days, home 7 weeks, non-weight bearing, and then at Kennedy Krieger 6 weeks inpatient.
Okay. And then she did STP.
But I was just I really wanted her, because I know that you guys have the treadmill in the pool, and then there were some of the other things that you had, but it was almost more like they only used it for people with spinal cord injuries and not kids with CP. Like, how does one get involved in that?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I did miss one thing about our wellness center. So no, the pool at Kennedy Krieger at the 801 building is open to like all departments. It's kind of umbrellaed or owned under the spine department. However, all departments can use it. And yes, we do have the one pool with the underwater treadmill, which is very popular and great. So part of our wellness center, again, because we know how great the aquatic environment is and how, it eliminates gravity and things like that, and a lot less stress on the body. So part of our wellness center, we do offer a program called Independent Aquatics, or IAP. Okay. And in fact, my sister actually runs that program.
Get out.
Yeah. So patients pay, again, a small little fee, and they come and use the pool. So they have a couple options here as well. So they can come with a caregiver, a family member or something, and the caregiver or family member can facilitate the home program that is provided by the therapist. So again, another thing is they have to be cleared by a therapist and a physician. Mm-hmm. They'll provide a home program. You can either come with the caregiver or family member and utilize one of the pools, and we run it on like an hourly basis. Mm-hmm. Or depending, sometimes it's been a lot harder since like the pandemic, with staffing and stuff, but we have in the past like offered staff to help facilitate some of the home programs. It's something we're trying to get back into. Mm-hmm. But yes, that is an option. And we actually have now a third pool, or it's more of like a standalone pool. Mm-hmm. It's called the HydroWorks 300, and they can, so like Faith could it looks like a big cube, and she kind of like walks into it. We close the door and lock it, and then you kind of like press the buttons, and it fills up to whatever depth she would like. And that also has a treadmill. And it's just something a little bit smaller, and especially for more independent individuals.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's
so we have that as well. Yeah. So yes, there is the opportunity to use our pools outside of therapy through Independent Aquatics. I'm really also trying, that's on my to-do list, is to get a swim like instruction, adaptive swimming.
That would be amazing.
Because I've gotten so many people asking, like, they want to learn to swim. Yeah. So I actually had a student join me, an OT student from Towson, this past spring. And she worked with me to try, we kind of did a pilot program for swim, but we called it more of a survival, I guess, swimming. So we
Mhm.
didn't really go over any techniques of like strokes or anything like
Right.
that. But if somebody were like with their family or in the summer, some traveling or wherever, and they just wanted to get in the pool just to,
Mhm.
because why not? And how would they do it?
Yeah.
So we had like a couple, I think we had like 5 or 6 patients that participated, and we did like a 4-week program. They came once a week. Some of them had a caregiver, some of them didn't.
Right.
We taught like the caregiver how to, safely get in and out of the pool, techniques in the pool, like just survival. Like again,
It's funny when you said that because a couple weeks ago we went kayaking, and my husband wanted to bring the dog. I'm like, really? So the dog ended up was in with me and was barking because she wanted to be up front with them. So I was going up closer, and as I was getting close to their kayak, the dog got on top of the front of the kayak, right? And Jesse's like, "Oh yeah, we need to put like maybe mount something like a wood like platform on top of it and put like, little like indoor outdoor rug on it so she can be like on the roost or whatever." Mm-hmm. Well, with that, she fell into the water to the right. Okay. So I'm like, oh no. So I went like that to go grab the dog.
Grab her.
And when I did, I banged into their kayak, and Faith lost her balance, and she literally didn't, hands were nothing. She was just like,
oh no,
like, literally head first. And so then I dropped the dog. I'm like, Faith, oh my God, get Faith. And I was like freaking out. And you had to be there. I mean, after we laugh about it, but they both had, the dog had a life vest on, Faith had a life vest on, but my husband's like trying to push my kayak out of the way to get into, oh my gosh, it was hysterical. And we went with another couple, and their daughter also has cerebral palsy, but it was, oh my gosh, it was, so that's when you said the survival, I'm thinking, yeah, like, how about when they like fall in the water from the kayak?
Right. Yeah. Or what even like in their chair, like that happens. I mean, we haven't really been able to simulate that yet. We do have like aquatic chairs that we've kind of, I mean, it's different though, because our aquatic chairs don't like immediately sink, and, it's always different, but that is, again, survival, and, or just even basic swimming, just getting in the pool with your family and friends. And, how do, like, again, they're like, just how do I do this? And you'll be surprised because there's so many pools that they'll advertise or say that they're accessible, or they'll have a lift or something. And you know what? Half of them don't work.
Yep.
And I have been in that situation with a patient. Actually, we were traveling I think we were in Nashville for a marathon. They had a pool. He wanted to get in. When he went, he could like bump down and kind of get in on his own or with his caregiver. But when it came time to get out, they went to try to use the chair and it was dead. And he was like, so what do I, and so luckily, there was extra support. We were there with them traveling. So like we were able to like help them get out, but it happens so often, it's sad. And so, this is something that is on my to-do list to try and incorporate some type of swim lesson thing, run it on like a 6 to 8 week basis. And again, I'm not trying to say like learn any specific strokes or anything, but just survival. Like
exactly. Yeah.
Getting in and out, even like using the locker rooms. That's another thing, because not all locker rooms are equipped for individuals in wheelchairs to be able to change in and out of their swimsuit. And then once you're wet, it's so much harder to change, like, and so we're so fortunate to what we have, like our facilities, because we do have mat tables in our locker rooms at our pool, but not everybody has that.
Exactly.
And we do have lifts, and we do have the aquatic wheelchairs and stuff, but not everybody has that. So like, again, we tried when we did this thing, or this pilot, basically, we kind of just tried to simulate that we were at a public pool that didn't have all these extra great things that, we're so, fortunate to have. And just like, how would they be able to do it?
Yeah. So. And how do you facilitate all that stuff with, because I know, again, SDP runs, and then you have the other program, which the Peffleys every year go to. And what is that one? I can't remember what Boost. That's what it's called. The Boost program they have. I think it's called a Boost, like a 30-day Boost program. But so you have all, the patients in doing the therapies and stuff. So how do you
kind of make that
work around that?
Yeah, so that has been, so before the pandemic, we had like a window that we kind of set aside specifically for our independent aquatics participants or patients.
Okay.
Since the pandemic, we kind of, everything's changed, schedules, so we're still working on where that window is going to fall, but we're kind of just working with people as they hey, I'm interested again, or a new person that's interested and just trying to make it work, fitting them in somewhere. And a lot of times we have they'll be in aquatic therapy with a therapist, and the therapist might recommend it, say, oh, I think you're great, like you should continue doing aquatic therapy or getting in the pool and carrying over your home program. And they'll recommend it and refer them. And then there's some that we kind of just, I don't know, it just kind of happens.
Yeah.
But we did have more of a referral program. And again, we're trying to get back into it. We just haven't promoted it as much because the window of opportunity is so much smaller right now.
Yeah. And what about going back, so Faith has a we just got her Bioness units not too long ago. Love them. She also did a recombinant study between AI DuPont and it was Shriners Hospital in Philadelphia and the University of Delaware. She did that. It was a few years back, and she didn't get it with the FES. She got the one without it. But now it's great because when we do go bike riding outside, she can wear her Bioness because it goes on that. You can either do it on a train, like sitting down doing a training mode, walking mode, and then a cycling mode.
Right.
And then she also did the functional electrical stim on 3, because she couldn't handle the glutes muscles while walking on a treadmill for 30 minutes. So she would walk. So for a minute, the stim would go on, and then it would go off for a minute, and then it would go on. She did that, and she did amazing. And actually her numbers and everything actually got them a grant to continue to study. And that one was also with the University of Delaware and Shriners. But I know with a lot of that stuff, they did have the Bionesses there at STP, but the exoskeletal or
the exoskeleton.
Yes. That, I feel like there was more, it was almost like a lot of that was more offered to spinal cord patients versus cerebral palsy. How do they differentiate who gets what with them? Because it's done so much good for kids with CP too, but I don't see a lot of CP kids in there doing that kind of therapy.
Right. So yes, our International Center for Spinal Cord Injury does own an exoskeleton. We got that through a fundraiser that actually a patient had put on quite a few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And so that's how we were able to purchase that. It's ran through our spine program, and we do have therapists that are trained to use it. I know that they've done a little bit of research and have offered it outside of our spine program a little bit, but I think there's only been a couple of research studies done with it outside of our program, but that's how we were able to get it. But that's a great thing that you brought that up, because one of the other things through Team Kennedy Krieger and the Baltimore Running Festival is we give funds back to the Institute, usually in purchase of equipment. So, now I can't remember the name of equipment that we bought a couple years ago. I'll bring it up. Hold on, let me see.
Okay.
But we have used funds to purchase equipment, and that is something I don't want to say you're the first person that brought that up, but that is something we can add to our list of potential equipment to help fund in the future. And that could be for another department or other departments to utilize.
Right.
So we have done, the Geo. Have you seen the Geo on the 3rd floor?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Yes, I did. Actually, yeah, I did.
Yeah,
because
so
it's over to the left. Like when you come up, it's like if I'm looking at the elevators, it's to the left over there. And
yep.
Yes.
So we use funds from the Running Festival to purchase an FES module for the Indago, and that is utilized by multiple departments.
Okay.
There's a couple other things that we've also purchased that is used for multiple departments and things like that. But I'm really glad that you brought up the exoskeleton, because that's another thing to put on our list that we could discuss funding in the future for other departments to use.
Right. And do most of the people that you have on the team adaptive sports more spinal cord, or do you have a lot of people with cerebral palsy?
It is more spinal cord, just because that's kind of like where we're housed and kind of what we're exposed to and kind of we have access to. But we're really trying to make this a bigger thing in more of like even community. It doesn't even you don't have to be a Kennedy Krieger patient,
right?
You know, especially since we're giving some funding away in the community. Like one of our partnerships that we've created in the last years is with Friends of Patapsco Valley State Park, and I kind of jumped on with them to create a whole adaptive program there. They have a great park. They have a big park. They were interested in bringing in, individuals with disabilities and how can they use their park. So we created this partnership. And so we have the mountain biking, kayaking, hiking. What else am I missing? I think that's it. Those three things. So anyway, yes. So no, there is no one disability, that we're accepting, and we welcome all members of the community. And again, like what I have said before, we make it work. Obviously, the hand cycling part, because it being more of a competition, that part's a little bit harder, but we had plenty of patients that have walked, and we've kind of pushed also like the 5K. So we'll have patients that might be interested in doing that, and we'll get a team of staff to kind of like walk/push with them through the 5K. But yeah, I mean, anyone is welcome to join.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then what about the CrossFit? I know we touched a little bit before we started recording, because I was excited about that, because I'm going to be doing an interview with someone else who's actually doing adaptive CrossFit.
Yeah, so we do have a few staff members that are trained in the adaptive CrossFit. We have a couple patients that have actually competed. I think they've done like Wadapalooza, things like that. So it is something that we're working on, establishing a program or a partnership with a gym locally. So I would love, to meet your friend or the name that you were given to kind of get some ideas. But that would primarily be kind of ran through like our personal training program. So we have like personal trainers that are already, certified in personal training that could take that on, which would be really cool.
That's awesome. Now, what about partnering with anybody because I know you're mainly like in Baltimore City, Baltimore County. Do you guys ever come out, or have ever, what would entail? Have you thought about collaborating or partnering with other gyms in the area, like in Harford County, say, or, because we do have, like, I know, so Faith goes to, when she gets her PT, her therapist actually uses the pool at the Arena Club.
Okay.
And they're a big, and I think, I want to say they're family owned too, but then we have we have a Y around here, and then we have the Bel Air Athletic Club. Like even partnering, like I know in Delaware, I think the Y, some of them have some adaptive programs and adaptive equipment, but it would be nice to really like hone in on like partner with a gym to really get the community together and have actual classes and things like that.
Yeah, so that has been something that we definitely have talked about and touched or kind of explored. In the past, a lot of it came down to more so training staff. So yeah, we would
because there's that big liability that a lot of gyms are probably afraid of.
Right. And so that is something we are still working on. Like you said, a lot of gyms are kind of hesitant. Some are more open than others. But yes, that is something we are working on. So we do have, we have a newer location. Again, this is under our International Center for Spinal Cord Injury, but we have an outpatient and wellness center in Fulton, Maryland. So kind of west of the city.
Okay.
And that opened just about 2 years ago, this past summer. And they've been really successful. It's a great facility. And so now we're actually in the talks kind of works of opening up our north location. So we're looking at Baltimore County right now, just because our biggest thing is trying to still provide opportunity for like our inner city and stuff,
Right.
Or those who can't afford, transportation type thing. So being able to still use the bus and things like that. So that's like one of the things we're trying to cross, get that, because I would love to come to Harford County or even, further, but I don't think the bus doesn't, I don't think it even runs to Harford County, does it? And then also for our therapy part, insurance, Medicare, I think it is, or Medicaid. No, Medicaid only covers a certain distance from like our home place.
Okay. That makes sense.
So, but yes, so that's what we're trying to do. We are, so we have our west location in Fulton, Maryland now, that has the wellness center, and they have I think theirs is the HydroWorks 3 something, or maybe 600. I can't remember what number it is, but they have one of those standalone pools that I was talking about. They have one of those there with the treadmill in it and stuff. And then they have a lot of other fancy equipment that I'm not going to go really into, but yeah. So our next one is what we're saying is our northern location to kind of serve those in northern Harford County kind of stuff, Delaware,
Right.
PA. So that is in the works and in the talk. So we actually just started talking about that. Actually, we visited, I'm not going to name it, but we did visit a facility last week to check it out. So, but yeah, I think,
Harford County too, they really do a great job with the disability community, and like our Harford County Recreation, they have like they have special needs programs that they do, and during the 1 month they really go above and beyond with highlighting all of our individuals that are out working in the community and that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, so we're planning to host kind of like a resource fair next spring. We were supposed to do this in March of 2020, and it was literally the day everything shut down.
Oh,
that we were supposed to have this, what we called a resource fair, and we couldn't have it. We were devastated, but we're hoping for spring 2023. And we're actually partnering with med students at Johns Hopkins to help facilitate and run it. But what basically we were inviting organizations, in the community everywhere to come and advertise what they offer, show what they offer. People from Harford County, Baltimore City, everywhere, just get let it be known, get it out. Yeah. Let people know, because, and that's really funny because there's not like one place you can go and find all this. That's something like, where could we do this? Like a website that just lists it all, I don't know how even to get started on that, but that would be nice to have. And so that's what I'm trying to create is I'm going to gather all these people, all these organizations, the resources, what they offer, and show it to, the community and get, their exposure and things like that. Because a lot of people just don't know. Yeah,
they don't. Yeah, it's so true. They don't.
And I'm I wish there was, like I said, I wish there was just one place you can just put it in one website or whatever.
Yep, and it's all there.
And it's just everything, because I do that a lot because we have patients that, travel to Kennedy Krieger from out of state. And they'll be able to try like a program or event or something. They're like, oh, how do I do this at home? I want to do this. And I've started my little research, but it's hard. It's hard to find it all. Yeah. We're really lucky though. I don't know if you heard of Move United. They're an organization, and they have started to house a lot of the adaptive sports programs throughout the country.
Really?
Yeah. And so I think Bennett is a member or a chapter of Move United, and actually we're looking to become part of a chapter too, kind of with Bennett.
Okay.
but it's a good resource. And that's kind of like what I was looking for, is something like that. But people still don't even know about Move United, and to put their information there. And so, again, something I'm just really trying to get work on is, where can we house all this information? Because it's so useful, but it's not useful if people can't find it or don't know where it is.
Exactly. It's so true. It's so true. So one last thing. Well, first off, is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
Yeah. I feel like we could go on forever.
I know, right? It's so true.
Yeah. And talk about, how we can make things better and things.
Exactly. Right. It's all really truly about networking. So I will definitely put down in the show notes your email and the website, so that way, because on the website it tells you how someone can register for the sports and stuff, correct? So
I can give you those resources. You can put the Move United resource in there.
Yeah, so any resources you want, email them to me, and then I'll list them in the show notes.
Okay,
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And then one last thing, I always gift my guests with a hand-stamped token of their meaningful word on it, because I'm a my intent maker. So I wanted to know what your word is, and if you'd be willing to share why.
So this was very difficult for me. I was thinking of all these things, and I feel like I was getting away from what you were really looking for, or what it really meant, So, to be really simple, learn, because I feel like you can never learn enough, whether it be from your actions or things that happen. You're always learning, always evolving, from that, and take advantage of it. Whether it be, even at home, I'm a mom and I'm still learning. I'm, expecting my second, and I'm still learning to, how to be a mom, how to be a wife, how, with my family, things like that, with work, learning every day. I feel like I'm learning something new, trial and error, things, we try it doesn't work, great. We learn how to try and do it better the next time. So
exactly.
Learn is the big thing. Because I feel like it's so important that, I feel like we take that for granted. We think of school and education and we're like, oh, I'm done, but really you're not.
It's just beginning.
Yeah. I've learned so much outside of school, and I even have my master's, and and I'm still learning. So I think that was, came down to that.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, awesome. I love it. Well, thank you again so much. And everybody stay tuned for more episodes to come. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us as we spread awareness through our personal stories and the many resources shared. You can help us by joining our village simply by sharing our show to the masses. If you would like to support the Guilbault Girls on another level, click on the link in the show notes to make a donation in any amount. Add your address and you'll receive a hand-stamped token with the word village on it in appreciation. Be sure to subscribe to our Guilbault Girls podcast and YouTube show, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Guilbault Girls. Till next time.